What's good, everybody? It's your boy, the Q-Tip, and we're back with another video. Today, it's kind of a yap session of sorts, but it will be women's college basketball reactions, overreactions. We've had some big ranked games. We've had some top teams show who they are. We have some top teams show who they may not be. We have some top teams that haven't had to show anything because they haven't played anybody. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe so you can see what else we're doing on this channel. Lots of women's basketball things. We also have some friends, some office, some quizzes. NBA quizzes are going to come out soon. So all kinds of different things. So let me know what you guys want to see, and I can try to make that work for y'all. But let's get straight into it. We'll start with the number one team. We'll start with UConn. We'll start with the defending champions. Actually, we'll start with Sarah Strong. She had a phenomenal game. I think she had like 29 points, like 7 or 8 assists, 5 or 6 steals, like just a crazy stat line. I don't have the stat line in front of me, but phenomenal game. Um, a lot of people on Twitter, including myself, I know people call it X, but whatever. Um, a lot of people on X, including myself, were talking about the gap between her and whoever the next best player in the country is, which is a good question of like who is the top five, like who is definitively the top five best players in college in women's college basketball. Like Maddie Booker's in the conversation. Hannah Hidalgo's probably in the conversation. Lauren Betts is in the conversation. Is AZ Fudd in the conversation? Is the question. Like, I mean, AZ probably has to be in the conversation. Like, so that's a good question. It's like, who's the top five players in women's college basketball right now? That's one question. Also, but number one is Sarah Strong, and I think it's not very close. I think Joyce Edwards is working her way to being in that top five. I think by the end of the season, she'll have a bigger case. But Sarah Strong, like, she's just able to do everything. And I'm a person that's come on here and talk about versatility over and over again with certain players. But Sarah Strong is like a player that makes everything look easy, makes everything look natural. Like, I've never seen someone play with ease the way that she did last year in the Final Four and in the national championship game. Like, South Carolina is a phenomenal team. Like, they have a great defense. And granted, they had a Paige Beckers and an AZ Fudd, so it made it a little bit easier for her to find ways to navigate the offense. But it just looks so easy, and it's not just against South Carolina. It was against UCLA. It was against USC. Like every team that they played late in the season, it looked easy, and it's now gotten to the point where Gino is like, assert yourself every night, like prove that you're the best player on the floor every single night. And if she's doing that, UConn low key has a chance of going undefeated. Obviously, their biggest competition is getting through non-conference. They have Michigan coming up this weekend. That's a huge game. I think that's going to be a really big game. I have a preview coming out for that. But they have to get through the non-con. But once you get to the non-con, they play Big East. I think they'll run through the Big East like they normally do. They have a really good chance of going undefeated. Now, obviously, they would have to win a championship to go undefeated. And I'm not saying that like it's going to be easier. They can just run through a bunch of teams. But I don't think they've played phenomenal basketball yet, and they've still have been pretty dominant over Florida State. Obviously, doesn't have Sanaya Latson or Michaela Timpson, so it's a different team. Um, and then who else? Who did they play the other day? They just played somebody? Oh man, who they just play? Oh, I'm blanking. They just played. I can't remember, but they played another pretty good team, a team that deserves like I don't want to say deserves respect, but a team it's a respectable team. Like it's a team that you can't just go out and think that you're gonna win an easy game or whatever. I really can't remember who they played. It's really bothering me, and I know as soon as I see it, it's gonna be like you should have known that. I try to look it up real fast so I don't waste nobody's time. It was Sunday. They played Ohio State. Goodness gracious, they played Ohio State. Um, a young team, so I'm not super surprised. But again, that's a Big Ten team that is going to probably contend in the Big Ten. So that's a big win. That's a easy like for them to play the way that they did. Well, Sarah Strong to play the way she did really is really impressive. And like I said, they haven't played phenomenal basketball yet, and they still look really good. Obviously, I want to see what they look like against Michigan. They have Notre Dame, which I'll talk about Notre Dame in a little bit. But based off a game I saw this past weekend, I don't think Notre Dame is even think they might be worse than I even expected, and I wasn't really high on them before. So um, I'll have to look at UConn's like non-con to like know for sure because there's a good chance they go undefeated going into the tournament. And then once you get to the tournament, anything can happen. But they've been they have Michigan, Utah in the non-con. They have USC at USC. I believe that's at USC. Yeah, at USC. They have Iowa at home, and they have Notre Dame in January at home, and they have Tennessee. Tennessee is probably the most difficult game on the schedule this year after Michigan. I think Michigan and Tennessee are the two most difficult games. So if they can get through both of those, I think they have a really good chance of going through the regular season undefeated. I do want to see AZ Flood continue to get more um, aggressive and just feeling comfortable as being one of the top players or being like one of the go-to or the go-to perimeter scorer. Um, and yeah, just see the guard play get a little bit easier. But Sarah Williams looks really good. Um, and the young players are coming around pretty well too. So UConn looks good. South Carolina also looks really good. They had a I don't want to say really dominant, but it was a win. It was a very, very decisive win over USC. And it was kind of to be expected. Like I thought it would be a little bit closer, but it's just hard to like string a lot of buckets together against a team like USC against a team like South Carolina, just because they have so many athletes and Dawn coaches them up so well. Her coaching staff does too, but she coaches them up so well defensively, and they don't make mistakes offensively. Like they might miss shots, but they're not going to turn the ball over a ton. They're not going to give you easy shots, easy layups in transition. Like you're going to have to beat them to be better. Like to beat them, you have to beat them in the half court. You have to beat them in like every facet, basically. You have to beat them in the hustle categories. You got to beat them to offensive rebounds and loose balls. You got to shoot the ball better. You got to rebound the ball better. You got to defend better. You got to get out in transition. To be able to do all those things, you're going to need a lot more than what USC has on their roster currently. Um, but that's not a detriment to that's not a knock on USC, but South Carolina is just that good. Like there's a few teams that it looks like there's a few teams that are just going to be really really hard to beat this year. South Carolina looks like that. Texas looks like that. They haven't played like a great game yet. They played Richmond, which I think Richmond is still a good team. So for them to make Richmond look the way they looked is pretty impressive. And then UCLA, obviously, I think is in that conversation too. They've already had a win over Oklahoma. That was pretty impressive. So, and then we have LSU. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say or how I wanted to segue that, but LSU is just really hard to gauge every season because they don't play anybody for the SEC, and it's a little frustrating. I mean, I guess like it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Like, but I think when it comes to March and when it comes to April, if you can get there, like having those experiences, having those games help a lot. And I don't think Michaela Williams can say like, oh, I've played in more than 7 big games in her collegiate career so far. And I feel like that's a disservice um, to Michaela Williams. Obviously, Flauja can say that because she went on two runs. She went to a national championship, won a national championship, and then went on another run. I guess went on 2 different runs, but I think it's I think it's kind of weird that they refuse to play top teams or other top teams in the non-conference. Like every team is like even teams that aren't like phenomenal are playing top teams to start the season. Like Princeton plays top teams every year. Michigan is playing UConn. They just played Notre Dame. Like there's top teams that are playing. Like Oklahoma and UCLA just played. South Carolina and USC have a back and forth for the next, well, I guess next year and this year. UConn and South Carolina play pretty much every year, every other year. So it's like if everyone else can do it, why? Like, what is the point of y'all not doing it? And it's not because it shouldn't be because, oh, they might lose and she don't want to lose, but it's like if you lose those big games, but you take care of business and you win some of those big games, you get the benefit of the doubt in the tournament or when it comes to seeding. Um, we saw it last year. Like I know Don Staley wasn't happy, but UCLA, USC, they won some big games. They had some big performances against big teams. UCLA beating USC or beating South Carolina last year, and then USC had beat UCLA what 3 times, 2 times. So being able to have those wins on your resume are big, and not just having them on your resume, being able to have that in your teams on the players' shoulders of like, okay, we know we can do this for sure. Going your first big game being in December or January does your team a huge disservice when the season starts early November. Like I, I I'll never understand it. I really don't. Like she's been doing it since Angel Reese. I mean, probably before that, but since Angel Reese's first year there, they ended up winning the championship. But it's like understand like why it is what it is. Um, I mentioned earlier some teams like UCLA and Texas. They're interesting because everything says like booms, UConn, South Carolina again. But I think one of these two teams could really shake things up. And I don't shake things up is probably the bad way to say it because shake things up like that they would have to meet in the Final Four, and that's not really shaking things up. Like, can they change? I don't want to say change the narrative either because they're not really changing the narrative. Can they shift what people think? Like, can they shift what people's like go-to thoughts are when it comes to what the national championship game is going to be? I'm someone that has picked UCLA to go to the national championship multiple years now, but we have to see it. Like we have to see it before we can say like okay, like it's not UConn versus South Carolina every year, and it's definitely not. Like we've seen Iowa, we've seen um I we've seen Iowa, we've seen LSU, like we've seen multiple teams, multiple different teams over the last 10 years, I would say, um in the tournament or in the national championship. So it's not like it's just UConn and South Carolina, but I will say it does get to a point where it's like, okay, do these teams believe that they can beat UConn or South Carolina in the tournament? Which I will hope so because those teams have lost in the tournament before, but obviously there's context to everything. So it is what it is. But I love what I've seen from UCLA. I think Gianna Neekins has been a huge get for them. Gabby Hawkins is shooting the ball well. Charlize Ledger Walker is playing really well. Um, there's a lot of narrative around Lauren Betts. I'm not a huge fan of. Um, sure, there's some things that she can work on, but the stuff that I see, they make it seem like she's just not a good player at all, and that's just so far from the truth. Like there is there's a lot of negativity that comes with women's college basketball sometimes, and just sports in general. But I just feel like it's unnecessary. Like, and it's always just like I'm rooting for my team or I'm rooting for my player, so I got to put down your player. I got to put down your team instead of just bigging your team up. Now we got to go back and forth, and I got to say that your player is trash because I want to say that my player is better. Like it's just childish, but it is what it is. I like what I've seen from UCLA, Texas. I feel like they have a big game coming up soon, but I could be wrong. But I like what I've seen from the young players. Jordan Lee has looked really good. Aaliyah Crump has looked really good as well. Justice Carlton is Justice Carlton. Like she doesn't do anything that's like super stand out, but she finds ways to help her team win every single night. And that's really all you can ask for someone that young. They play UCLA next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday. So they do have a big game, and that is in Vegas. Okay. So they play UCLA. Well, that's gonna be a huge game. Okay. So maybe I should we'll do a preview for that game. That's gonna be a huge game. I can't wait for that. Michigan, Oklahoma, and TCU. I I don't know if Oklahoma should be a tier up or in that tier. I guess we'll see over time. But what Michigan did to Notre Dame, like I thought they were gonna win. I picked them to win in the preview I did, but what they did was phenomenal. Like they kind of shut them down from the start. And when you see a game like that, when you see a team like that, just understand what they need to do in terms of okay, Notre Dame has Hannah Hidalgo, we need to shut her down, and then see what else happens from there. See what the other players are able to do, and they didn't let off the gas at all. And I love that. I think they all played phenomenal. I think Silas Swords was great to start the game. Olivia Olson was great to start the game. Um, and they made plays like over and over, and it was just relentless, and it was just too fast and too what's the word I'm looking for? Too decisive? Nah, that's not the word I'm looking for. It was just too much. It was too much for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's talent level couldn't keep up, unfortunately. And I also think like Notre Dame just lacked creation. They lack post presence, and Michigan has creation, but they also have defensive guards, like wings and players that can defend. Kendall Dudley is a phenomenal defender. Like she's not the best offensive player in the world, but I think she's improving offensively. But what she can do defensively keeps her on the court. She became a starter. I mean, she was probably going to start regardless, but she started the season injured. Like she's going to be on the court because she can defend at a high level. So having that many players out there that can defend and shoot the ball and are like able to create for themselves and others, like it's a huge not problem. Huge gift. I don't know. For it's been a long day. Oklahoma, been talking about them for years. I think this is their best chance to win a championship this year. Don't know what the team is going to look like over the next couple of years with Leah Chavez. I would think that there are going to be people that come in and play with her, and they can, continue to build because I think Jenny Baranchuk is building a good program over there. But this is obvious. This is absolutely their best chance to win it with Reagan Beers and Payne Verhulst and Sahara Williams. Just having those players and them understanding what they need to do to get to the level they want to get to. I think they understand that. Like they understand that this is their last opportunity. This is their best opportunity. Um, I think the UCLA game is going to be good for them. Like having that game that early, doing it at technically it wasn't in UCLA. Like it wasn't at UCLA, but it was in Sacramento, so it's still on the road. Um, I do think that's big for them going forward. I think they'll take a lot from that. Obviously, you play in the SEC, so they have a lot of big teams they're going to play over there as well. So I think that's going to help them. Just being able to withstand runs and make your own runs. That was really what they did. They just couldn't make a run in the UCLA game, and the game just got away from them. TCU really, really impressive win. The NC State TCU game I thought was going to be, I mean, it wasn't not close, but actually they were up by 20 at one point. It became a little bit closer at the end, but TCU kind of controlled that game for a good bit. Um, man, Marta Suarez, phenomenal game from her. Olivia Miles. Donovan Hunter still looks really good. Her being able to shoot the ball as efficiently as she did, and you like creating off the dribble, getting to the rim. If Donovan Hunter is able to do that, she's gonna be a WNBA player. I'm just telling y'all right now, she's that talented. Maddie Scher's playing good. Just good to see her healthy. Honestly, she's been struggling with staying healthy the last couple of years, ever since she left Oregon. So to see her healthy this year is really good. Um, I want to see them a little bit more, but that's a really good win. In NC State, I think that was a phenomenal win for them, and it's another team that like a TCU Oklahoma game is going to be really interesting. Like a TCU Iowa State game is going to be really interesting because man, just watch out for the Big 12. Like those games are going to be tough because those coaches, those teams know each other so well, and there's a lot of crossover in terms of like play style, like versatility. Like there's a lot of good defenders, good shooters on the floor at the same time. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Speaking of the Big 12, There's a lot of teams that are vying to win it. Obviously, the non-conference or conference play hasn't even started yet, so we this is kind of just projecting. But you got Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, TCU, and West Virginia are like the top teams in the Big 12. If I had to pick who I feel like is winning the conference, after what I saw, I might go TCU because my goodness, that I don't know if Marta Suarez is gonna play like that every night. Obviously, that's not what you're really asking for. But Clara Silva looked really good as well. Like her footwork is phenomenal. Marta Suarez looked good, obviously. Like that whole, and they still got Taylor Bigby off the bench. They still got Kennedy Basham as well. Like they, I'm always big on Iowa State because I like Audie Crooks. I like Addie Brown. She's one of my favorite players in the country. But I don't know. This year feels different for Iowa State. Like I don't know what it is. Like I don't have as much confidence in them this year as I have in the past. Maybe it's Emily Ryan being gone. Um, maybe this is the year that they are better than or they're at the expectations that I've had for them the past couple of seasons. Who knows? Who wins the ACC? We got UNC, we got NC State, we got Notre Dame, we got Louisville, we got Duke, and then I think a sleeper is Virginia Tech. They've got a lot of good young players over there. Some holdovers from the Kenny Brooks era, some new players coming in. I like what they have over there. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think they're going to be able to contend for it. Um, UNC and Duke are very weird teams. Like they're good enough to be ranked. They're good enough to be in the conversation, but they're not going to be good enough to compete at the not like at a national championship level. But I mean, I think Duke got to what an Elite Eight, Sweet 16, not too long ago. So they have the ability. It's just I don't know, man. It's just a tough watch, honestly. Like they're a great defensive team, but they really, really struggle offensively. So it's kind of hard to 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 gauge how they're gonna play from game to game. And sometimes they're able to keep teams at bay um, with their defense, so they're in the game long enough to get a run or to be in the game at the end of the last 3 minutes, and they're able to make enough plays to win the game. Louisville is an interesting team. Notre Dame is a team that I have talked about how I'm not too high on them this year. So it's probably going to be NC State, honestly, to win the ACC this year. I think Syracuse has an opportunity as well, but I would say NC State. SEC stacked like always. Got South Carolina, Texas, LSU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Vandy, Kentucky. Um, I mean, the easy answer would be South Carolina, but low key, like the war of attrition could help another team. And this is like regular season. This isn't the conference tournament. So it's going to be interesting because they I don't think all of them have to play each other, but a good bit of them have to play. Like I know South Carolina and Texas plays this year. I know LSU and South Carolina plays. I think LSU plays Tennessee and Oklahoma and Texas, I think. I could be wrong. Um my head says South Carolina, heart says Texas. So do that what you will. Who wins the Big Ten? We got UCLA, we got Maryland, Michigan, USC, Iowa, Michigan State, Washington, and then my sleeper, Minnesota. I think Maryland's been really good as well. They kind of go under the radar just because they don't have like a superstar, but they got a lot of really good players, a lot of versatile players that can do a lot of things. Um, Sailor Poffenbarger has been really good to start the season. Alucia Economo has been really good as well. Kayleen Schmeichel is back, which is huge. They lost Leah Bartelm, unfortunately, to a torn ACL. Bree McDaniel should be coming back at some point this season, I think. Like they have a lot. Um, they have a lot that they can do. Addie Mack is, of course, she's had a phenomenal start to her freshman season. Like they have a lot that they're able to do offensively and defensively. They create some pressure on defense. They're able to get out and transition. They shoot the ball pretty well. So they're an interesting team. Uh, I think it's between UCLA, Maryland, and Michigan. But I do think if Washington can get healthy and get Elda Dean back, and then if Minnesota can stay healthy for the season, I think I think they have a chance of contending um, for the Big Ten as well. Yeah, so that's really all I have for y'all. Just a pretty much a 20-minute. I can't count because that literally says 25 minutes. Pretty much a 25-minute yap session about what I've seen the first 2 weeks, and not like super in depth, but just wanted to get down and talk. Just wanted to sit down and talk about some things. See if I can get some gauging or gauge any. I cannot talk. I don't know why I'd be doing this. Um, see if I can get anybody to let me know what they're thinking as far as like what they see, but not just one team or not just a specific team, but just across the board. Um, I'm relatively a pretty optimistic person with certain teams or with teams in the like top 15 to 20. And I know some fans are kind of the opposite, like they, you know, you got to show me or no, I don't believe in them, which is fair because if they haven't done it yet, not necessarily a reason to believe them. But um, here I go yapping again. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe so you can come back to the next videos. We got some more previews coming up this week. We got some more player spotlights potentially. Maybe I'll do some player spotlights. I'm gonna try to do some player of the nights. I don't know if I'll be able to do a player night every night, but if there's a performance that I feel like is really good, I'll post about it. That'll be on my TikTok, so make sure you guys go tap in with that Hoodie Q-Tip on TikTok as well. So thank you guys for tuning in and make sure you come back.